Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaranari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Pratijana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Pratijana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Shri Guru Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 1, Text 8, and actually we'll go into 9, because 8 only has a one-sentence purport. And we'll chant the verse for 8. Sunandayang Varsha Shatang Padaikena Bhuvang Sprishan Tapyamanas Tapo Goram Idam Anvad Anvaha Bharata Sunandayang Vasha Shattam Padaikena Bhuvang Sprishan Tapyamanas Tapogoram Idam Anvaha Bharata Sunandayang Vasha Shattam Padaikena Bhuvang Sprishan Tapyamanas Tapogoram Idam Unvaha Bharata. Padaikena Bhuvang Sprishan Tapyamanas Tapogoram Idam Anvaha Bharata. Sunandayang Vasha Shattam Padaikena Bhuvang Sprishan Tapyamanas Tapogoram Idam Anvaha Bharata. Sunandayang Vasha Shattam Padaikena Bhuvang Sprishan Tapyamanas Tapogoram Idam Anvaha Bharata. Word for word synonyms. Sunandayam, on the bank of the river Sunanda. Varsha Shatam, for 100 years. Pada Ekena, on one leg. Bhuvam, the earth. Sprishan, touching. Tapyamanaha, he performed austerities. Tapaha, austerities. Goram, very severe. Idam, the following. Unvaha, and spoke. Bharata, O sign of Bharata. Translation. O sign of Bharata, after Swayambhuva Manu had thus entered the forest with his wife, he stood on one leg on the bank of the river Sunanda, and in this way, with only one leg touching the earth, he performed great austerities for 100 years. While performing these austerities, he spoke as follows. Repeat after me. O sign of Bharata, after Swayambhuva Manu had thus entered the forest with his wife, he stood on one leg on the bank of the river Sunanda. And in this way, with only one leg touching the earth, he performed great austerities for 100 years. While performing these austerities, he spoke as follows. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that the word Anvaha means that he chanted or murmured to himself, not that he lectured to anyone. That word in anvaha. Anvaha in the word for word means and spoke. So it says he spoke, but it meant in that sense. He was speaking or murmuring to himself, not that he lectured to anyone. So we'll go on to verse 9, text 9. Srimano uvacha yena chaitayate vishvan vishvang chaitayate nayam yo jagarti shayanesmin Nayam tang veda veda saha Srimanur uvacha Yena chaitayate vishvam Vishvam chaitayate nayam Yo jagarti shayanesmin Nayam tang veda veda saha Srimanur uvacha Yena chaitayate vishvam Vishvam chaitayate nayam Yo jagarti shayanesmin Nayam tang veda veda saha Anyone else like to chant? Srimanu uvacha Yena chaitayate vishvam Vishvam chaitayate nayam Yujagarti shayanesmin Nayam tam veda veda saha Srimanu uvacha Yena chaitayate vishvam Vishvam chaitayate nayam Jagarti shayanesmin Nayam tang veda veda saha Srimanu uvacha Yena chaitayate vishvam Vishvam chaitayate nayam Jagarti shayanesmin Nayam tang veda veda saha Srimanu uvacha Swayambhuva Manu chanted Yena by whom the personality of Godhead Chaitayate is brought into animation. Vishvam, the whole universe. Vishvam, the whole universe, material world. Chaitayate, animates. Na, not. Yam, he whom. Yaha, he who. Jagarti, is always awake, watching all activities. Shayane, while sleeping. Asmin, in this body. Na, not. I am, this living entity. Tam, him. Veda, knows. Veda, knows. Saha, he. Translation. Lord Manu said, the Supreme Living Being has created this material world of animation. It is not that he is created, it's not that he was created by this material world. When everything is silent, the Supreme Being stays awake as a witness. The living entity does not know him, but he knows everything. Repeat after me. Lord Manu said, the Supreme Living Being has created this material world of animation. It is not that he was created by this material world. When everything is silent, the Supreme Being stays awake as a witness. The living entity does not know him, but he knows everything. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here is a distinction between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. According to the Vedic version, the Lord is the Supreme Eternal, the Supreme Living Being. The difference between the Supreme Being and the ordinary living being is that when this material world is annihilated, all the living entities remain silent in oblivion, in a dreaming or unconscious condition, whereas the Supreme Being stays awake as the witness of everything. This material world is created. It stays for some time, and then it is annihilated. Throughout these changes, however, the Supreme Being remains awake. In the material condition of all living entities, there are three stages of dreaming. In the material condition of all living entities, there are three stages of dreaming. When the material world is awake and put in working order, this is a kind of dream, a waking dream. When the living entities go to sleep, they dream again. And when unconscious at the time of annihilation, when the material world is unmanifested, they enter into another stage of dreaming. In any stage, in the material world, therefore, they are all dreaming. In the spiritual world, however, everything is awake. Lord Manu, translation again, Lord Manu said, the Supreme Living Being has created this material world of animation. It is not that he was created by this material world. When everything is silent, the Supreme Being stays awake as a witness. The living entity does not know him, but he knows everything. Chakshuru militam nena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, this verse is quoted in the purport, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. So it refers to the living entities and the Supreme Lord. Both are eternal. God is eternal, and we are also eternal. But the difference is that the little living entities, we call jivas, actually. We call jiva souls. For the jiva souls are dependent on the Supreme Lord. We are completely dependent. The Supreme Lord is the supplier of everything, and we receive that. And the Supreme Lord, as we're reading in this purport, is always conscious. Even when he's so-called sleeping, he's conscious. Because Mahavishnu, he's actually resting. He's lying back on his Anantashesha bed. Anantashesha is a expansion or incarnation of Lord Balaram, who's serving the Lord. So so Mahavishnu, he's lying back on this other form of the Lord, very comfortably, and from his breathing and from the little pores in his skin, well, I guess they're not so little compared to us, but they're skin pores, whole universes are coming out as he's resting. So it's called Yoga Nidra, means mystic slumber is the translation, Yoga Nidra. So he's in a sense he's sleeping, but he's always conscious too. It's not like us. Our sleep means that we're in ignorance. We're sleeping in the one state where we're sleeping because we're in an illusion, thinking that I'm this body. Just like at night we sleep, we sleep and we dream. So many things we dream. We dream I'm somebody else, or we're dreaming that we're able to fly, or in the sky, or whatever dreams we have. We have so many dreams, but they're dreams. They're not reality. Dreams are, I mean, except for someone who's like a pure devotee of Krishna, they also may dream, but their dreams are actually a reality. But for the rest of us, dreaming is a form of illusion. In the Krishna book, when Vasudeva says is trying to convince Kamsa not to kill Devaki at the time of their marriage. At that time, he's preaching to Vasudeva's preaching to Kamsa, and then making the point. Actually, I'm not sure if there's that part of his preaching, but it's in the purport. It's in the same chapter. So Srila Prabhupada points out, it's written in that chapter, how at night we dream, but during the daytime we see examples given. You see gold, and you also may see a mountain. We've seen mountains and we've seen gold. So in a dream, your mind may create a golden mountain. It puts together different things. And probably if we look at our own dreams, we're thinking about at night. Our mind is doing something in our dreams, and it probably has something to do with what we were last thinking about before we went to sleep. Which is why Srila Prabhupada said he advised that at night you read Krishna book before going to sleep. We haven't actually done that. I haven't done that for a long time at night, but that was the way. He said you read Krishna book before you go to sleep. We used to drink hot milk at night, and then drink hot milk and read a chapter from Krishna book. And he said, if you do like that, then you'll dream about Krishna at night, which I also have experience of doing back then when we were reading Krishna book every night, because you're thinking about Krishna's pastimes. So the last thing is you absorbed your mind in, then that affects what you're thinking about during the night. Yes. So anyway, the living entities in general, we're in a dreaming state, and in our now in the material world, it's all kind of a dream. Not that it's not happening, but that we're in the illusion in general that I am this material body, and I have this relationship with this person or that person, or this person because they're from another country or from a different race or something like that. Therefore, I don't like them. Things like that. But that's all based on body, and the body is temporary. We were saying the other day in the class, Bhagavad Gita actually says of the I forget exactly the verse now, but what is real there's no end to it. There's no cessation, as the way the verse goes. And what is not real, there's no existence, in a sense. But what it was referring to is that what is real, which means spiritual world, the spiritual body, our spiritual relationship with Krishna, that is eternal. It's never really. We may be temporarily forgetting it, but that actually is an eternal relationship. And what is not real, which is basically what goes on in the material world, it's happening in a sense, but it said the qualification of it's real or not real is that if it's not real, it's not lasting. So, a person may be born, in America in this lifetime, and they have big, some bad feelings about somebody who's born in some other part of the world, and they're thinking like that this whole lifetime. But the next lifetime, that same soul may take another body in that other country that they were meditating on their whole life, and become who they had, and then they're seeing America as bad, like that, because it's a temporary situation. So this is not. So what goes on in the material world is not reality. It's happening, but it's considered on a spiritual level. It's not considered a real reality because it's very, very temporary. It may seem in our lifespan, say if we live, well, nobody hardly lives 100 years now, but it's possible in Kali Yuga. So if you live 100, say if you're living 100 years, then something may seem to go. Time passes, and we have a certain perception of the time passing. But if you're on another planet, or you're a demigod, you're in a higher position, then our 100 years is nothing. Our 6 months here is like one day. I mean, one day means like 12 hours in certain heavenly planets. Or Brahma's planet's a whole different thing. But even like the moon and the certain heavenly planets, our 6 months is like 12 hours for them. Our 1 year is like a 1 day and a 1 night for them, and then they have their own sense of 100 years of their time. And then there's a story, Krishna book, I believe. Someone went to the Krishna book. There's one story where someone went to see Lord Brahma to find a suitable husband for his daughter, and Lord Brahma was busy watching a concert or something. So a few minutes later, his time, he came out, and this king, who somehow was able to actually go there to see Lord Brahma, he asked, and he says, "Well, I can find someone, but the problem is, while you're here waiting for me, thousands and millions and billions of years have just passed on planet Earth, and all the people that you knew there they're not there anymore. They've been born and died, and many generations have come and gone. And this is all, within a few minutes of Lord Brahma's time. So, but it gives an idea of our that something in the material world is very it practically doesn't exist in terms of eternal time. Eternal time it almost doesn't exist because just like in Mahavishnu's time, he's destroying all these universes, but he in his one breath, one exhale, one inhale, like that, all the universes were created and all the universes destroyed. So that means in one breath, Lord Brahma's 311 trillion year lifespan in our calculation, that's only a second of Mahavishnu. So like that. So anyway, so that's a big dream, that we're dreaming in the material world that we are someone, but in reality our situation here is very, 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 very temporary in terms of eternal time. And then, so we're dreaming in the form of this. We're dreaming at night. So it's the second form of dreaming that we're mentioned here. Actually, we're just a dream. We're asleep and we're dreaming so many things. And then, if we don't get out of the material world in this lifetime, then we are dreaming again in another state of dream, because of all the living entities that are in the material world now, when the entire creation, when the entire universe, and all the universes come back into Mahavishnu's body, then for a moment of his time, and a long time for us, those living entities that are in there are also in a dreaming state, unaware of what's going on. And then at the end or when he breathes out again, then everything becomes manifest again, and the living entities continue where they left off, taking a particular birth according to whatever their karma was up to that point, and then they continue on. So those are three states of dream or illusion that we're in. But in the spiritual world, everything is there's no dreaming. There's no dreaming in the spiritual world. It's everything is eternal, and we can actually see things as they are. We see things as they are. Krishna is there, and we are there, and we have some eternal relationship with him. And in the spiritual world, or in relationship to Krishna, there is, I think called Kapila Dev, or maybe just some statement that in relationship to Krishna, whatever our eternal relationship is, and there's no fear that our relationships, like a mother has a son, in the spiritual world, of course, children never die. They actually never grow. They never grow old. Even in the spiritual world, actually, Krishna is always the same age. In this material world, we have the pastime. He grows up, but in the spiritual world, he's always, I think it is, the ages that he has his relationships with the gopis and like that. He's that age eternally. So nobody grows old. So some devotees are older as far as relationship, but nobody actually grows old. Here, in time, everyone start off young and we grow up and we get old. Birth, death, disease, and old age, and which are all full of miseries. But in the spiritual world, whatever our relationship with Krishna is, we're that, and we're that eternally. Everyone is. So So there's no illusion there. Not this kind of illusion. Actually, there is a kind of illusion, but it's a good illusion. It's called yogamaya. Yogamaya, because in the spiritual world, at least in Krishna Loka, the relationship between the Lord and the living entities, for us to have that real relationship, the one what Krishna wants us to have, or Krishna doesn't look. He's not looking for us to have. He doesn't want really a relationship where everyone's just, praying and glorifying Him and all that. What He really wants is that we are Krishna conscious, and we are Krishna conscious, and we have an intimate relationship with Him. That we're actually not even aware that He's God. I mean, that's what He actually enjoys. So in Krishna Loka is special like that. There's thousands, unlimited Vaikuntha planets. They're out there, and there, of course, everyone knows Lord Narayan, and He is God, and we are devotees of God, and all the souls there, and their mood is Jai Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Radha Vraja Bihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Govinda Shingade, Prahlad Maharaj Ki. So in the Vaikuntha planets, then the mood is like awe and reverence, and of course those who are there are very happy in that condition. That's what they want. That's a certain mood of devotional service. They're serving the Lord, but they understand that the Lord is the Lord. But in the spirit, in Krishna Loka, which is actually where Srila Prabhupada is giving us all opportunity to go directly there, in Krishna Loka, then practically speaking, nobody knows that Krishna is God. And even if they do, they wouldn't care, because they just love Him, But basically, they don't know. Mother Yashoda she can't, if someone says, your son Krishna, he's actually God. Not possible. She won't even be able to relate to it. What do you mean? He's my son. He's completely dependent on me. If I don't watch him for a second, he can get hurt. He can die. She's motherly anxiety like that, right? So Mother Yashoda's like that. We were talking the other day about the Mother Yashoda is thinking, if I don't feed Krishna, then he'll die. I got to convince him to eat. He's not eating enough, like that. So you don't think like that about God. That if I don't feed God, he's going to die. But that's a sweet relationship. Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj has his, of course, he's father, and then on the friendship level, Krishna has his the cowherd community. So he's got cowherd boy friends, and they just enjoy together. They enjoy. They go out to the pasture with the cows and play games and mock fighting and like that. There's no demons in the spiritual world, though. It only is here, but sometimes there's rumors of them. There's a feeling like, but there's no actual demons there. There's no way demons can come to the spiritual world. So anyway, this is what Srila Prabhupada, this opportunity to be in the spiritual world or go back to the spiritual world, or to even be here and realize Krishna on that level. This is what Srila Prabhupada gave us. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, all these great acharyas that we know, Srila Prabhupada himself, I know for sure. Even being here, has and knows and engages in that, on that kind of a loving relationship with Krishna. It's not that a liberated soul comes to the material world and forgets about Krishna. He's always with Krishna. and these Goswamis in Vrindavan, they wrote these very, wonderful books about Krishna and his pastimes and intimate things, and they could write it because they are, or well, I have to say were, because when they're here manifesting themselves here, they were very much they're on their relationship on the spiritual level, in the spiritual world, and in their eternal rasas. That also is going on. They didn't forget all that. They're doing two things at once. Even Srila Prabhupada mentions for us, as we get to a certain point of spiritual advancement, there's something called Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Srila Prabhupada explains, it's Nectar Devotion, actually. It's written there. It's chapter 15 and chapter 16. It's called Spontaneous Devotion, and Spontaneous Devotion further explained. But what it is the we get to a certain point of spiritual advancement, then we can actually, under the guidance of someone on the level of Srila Prabhupada, if he wants to give this knowledge, he gives some knowledge of, okay, here's who you aspire. You may aspire to be like in the spiritual world. You can. And such a pure devotee like that can give that some knowledge of that, and then there's a practice. Just like we've practiced, we have sadhana bhakti, where we're practicing, we're chanting our rounds, we're following the principles, we're doing service around the temple, like that. So on that higher level, the a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada could give knowledge of some kind of relationship to us, but we still have to practice and meditate and try to get in that mood. And that's Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Anyway, that's kind of beyond this, but it's mentioned in Nectar Devotion. Nectar Devotion is a really wonderful book because the very, very, very beginning of it is just try to get a foothold on the path of devotional service, and up to chapter 19. Chapter 19 is pure love of Krishna, and in chapters 20 until 51 or 52, the last chapter, is all great detail about what we know, or not what we know, but what's related to one who's on the level of pure love of Krishna. So that's what it is. It's the chapter from chapter 19 till the end. It's all about pure devotional service, the conclusion of pure devotional service. Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's personality. We're reading these days in Nectar Devotion about pretty high things. I can't understand them myself. But it basically means that if we're here in this material world and we're practicing Krishna consciousness, no matter how advanced we become, there's always something higher than us in Nectar Devotion, right? That will to guide us to go forward. So this is one of those very nice things about, and Srila Prabhupada wanted us to read that book, well, all the books, but he did mention specifically about Nectar Devotion. Read it again and again and again and again, because there's so much knowledge in it. And if you read, and then of course Nectar Devotion is a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which was written by Srila Rupa Goswami, which is a much bigger book. It's about 2 volumes like this. There is a translation of that, an English translation that was done by His Holiness Bhanu Swami. He's one of our ISKCON devotees, GBC and like that. So he's translated many books from Sanskrit and Bengali to English, and in that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, if you study it and you've already read Nectar Devotion, you'll see a lot in there is very similar, but the Nectar Devotion is easier to read. But the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has Srila Rupa Goswami's writings, and then it has some commentaries all the way through from Srila Jiva Goswami and also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, further explaining certain points. But Srila Prabhupada took all that and put it into our Nectar Devotion, which is, like I said, it's easier to read. But in any case, so between Srila Prabhupada and our previous acharyas, we have it's like an unlimited knowledge. If we're interested, there's unlimited knowledge to study and practice and go on with our Krishna consciousness. We have no lack of guidance from the previous acharyas, and then in terms of written knowledge, and of course we have Srila Prabhupada gave us all of this kind, and it's between that Srila Prabhupada, others who may know something, have some higher understanding that we have that, plus we have the books and the writings of the previous acharyas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote 100 books on Krishna consciousness. You can imagine. And he was a full-time judge. He was a magistrate, high court judge in the British system. He was a high court judge, and he would. His whole life was all based on. It was just all Krishna conscious. But he got that position, so you go to the court in the morning, and there's so many cases that were assigned to him, and he would go there. He would listen to the case. He would very quickly make decisions. He didn't spend it wasn't like he would spend a long time in jury and back and forth, and he'd spend days and weeks. He would hear something. He would make a perfect decision right away, very quickly. He would personally write up the report and whatever of it. He didn't wait for somebody else to do it. And he went on to the next one, like that. So in that way, if he had, I don't know, if he had 10 cases or 20 cases in the morning, he would do it, and he'd do it very quickly, and then he'd go home. Because and then he'd go home and he'd maybe rest a little bit, maybe eat his lunch or something. Refresh is the word that was used. And then he'd go back in the afternoon again, and he'd do the same thing. And then he'd come back home, and he would sleep early at night, maybe 8 o'clock at night. Then he'd get up at 12 o'clock at night, and he'd write books all night, for hours at night, so when nobody was around. Srila Prabhupada did the same thing. He wrote during the night because it was quiet and there's nothing else going on. There's nobody slamming doors and things like that in the temples that he'd stay at. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he would stay up all night writing and chanting, and he wrote many books in Sanskrit and in Bengali and different books and songs. He's famous for so many songs that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. And so these are these great souls who have done all this for our benefit. And Srila Prabhupada encouraged that we also read those books. He specifically mentioned for Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said he wrote many books. He mentioned specifically a couple of them that were really important, Jaiva Dharma, and also Chaitanya Shikshamrita. And both of them are basically instructions about Lord Chaitanya's teachings. Okay, so this verse was all about the dreaming state, but in the spiritual, but at any stage in the material world, at any stage in the material world. Therefore, they are all dreaming. In the spiritual world, however, everything is awake. Everything's awake. Everything's conscious. Even the stones and the mountains and the plants are 100% conscious, and they're all thinking of how to do service for Krishna in their own way. A tree will bow down and offers its fruits to Krishna, like that. The birds will make, when Krishna is out enjoying his different pastimes, they'll make just the right bird sounds to make that nice atmosphere. Every living everything there is alive. The stones sometimes would melt out of ecstasy when Krishna was nearby. I can imagine. So that's the spiritual world, and this is where we have all opportunity to go there just by chanting our rounds, following the principles, dedicating our life to giving Krishna consciousness to others. This is the price to pay. So the process itself is Kevala Anandakanda. It says the process for becoming Krishna conscious, to go back to the spiritual world, the process itself is simply joyful. Kevala Anandakanda. The process is joyful. So it's not like in Satya Yuga when you had to sit in the middle of a ring of fire under the hot sun for morning till night and try to meditate on the super soul in the heart. Yeah, I mean, that was difficult. Our process is not difficult. We have our challenges because we're Kali Yuga mentality like this, but the process, what we actually have to do to become Krishna conscious is actually pleasing. The chanting is nice, prasadam is nice. The seeing the deities, dressing the deities is nice. I think flower garlands for the deities is nice. Even painting Krishna's temple is nice. Maybe out there it's painting. I do have, but Krishna's temple is different, right? Doing something in Krishna's temple, or for Krishna. So anyway, these are a few points. Stop here. Just kidding. Any questions, comments?
I like what you just said. Normally I do that. I got to go to work. I'm thinking, like after this, I gotta go paint. I want to go paint.
Yeah.
Very good point. Like for Krishna, everything is fun and joyful, but the same thing actually, could be materialistic. Same thing for Krishna.
Yeah, just because it's for Krishna.
Yeah.
You wash pots. Someone may work as in a restaurant washing pots. You come to the temple, but you get to wash pots for Krishna. Wow, it's different here.
Maybe also think of the dedication of Bhakti or Srila Prabhupada. The Prabhupada writing the books means that we have to read them. So even though we're not writing books, I'm like, the only quiet time that I would get to is in the evenings or if I go to sleep or I wake up to read and really take that seriously, to read more and spend my time thinking of Krishna, reading about Krishna, and not in my activities. Really use this time wisely. That's what resonated. I think with me is I have to read a lot more, and I want to continue to.
Yeah, and read in the mood of I need to learn this so that I can teach it to others.
Yeah.
In fact, well, you're a teacher. The best way to learn is by teaching. If you know something, you got to teach it, and then you'll get it. You'll really get it. Yeah, you'll understand it better, and you'll remember what you're trying to learn. So if we study Srila Prabhupada's books, or these books of the other acharyas, and if we can read it and study it, so let me learn this really well, so I can tell someone else. And by telling someone else, then we keep it. And if we have the mentality that I know so much, but I want to be famous for knowing more than anyone else, so I'm not going to tell anyone anything. Then you're going to lose it. You'll lose it. You'll lose the realization of it. You'll lose the knowledge, and ultimately, your next lifetime, maybe you'll lose something else, right? Any?
I had a question.
Yes.
When you were mentioning Krishna Loka and the relationships that the living entities have with Krishna, it's a very different relationship, one of as a friend or a motherly connection. But when we're in the material world and we're worshiping Krishna and we're chanting, there's always that mood that he is God and he's supreme. And it's sometimes hard to cultivate a relationship where we see Krishna as like an everyday person just because of the way the process is, how we show reverence to God and how we have that realization that he's something much bigger than us.
Yes. So yeah, we can't fully appreciate how it would be, or how it will be, not would be, but will be in the spiritual world, based on right now we can't fully appreciate that because it comes with spiritual maturity. I mean, it means becoming very, very advanced. But we should just well, this, I guess this is just part of the faith. Faith means faith, when we talk about faith basically means in the scriptures. I believe scripture, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad-bhagavatam, these other scriptures, they make some statement, and we have, how much faith do we really have that this is the case? So if we have, right now our point is we have to try to have complete faith in the process, and understand that by following the process, by chanting Hare Krishna, by not engaging in sinful activities, then it's just a question of time, and the process is working. It's not that it just will work. It is working, and we will come to that point where we have those complete higher realizations. So we may not be able to appreciate it all now, but if we just have that faith in the process and stay with the process, then it will happen. It's a question of time. And it's not like, to some degree in other paths, religious paths, you're told, you demand, you've got to surrender to God, surrender to Jesus, like that, and and if you do this, then you go to heaven, and if you don't, then you're going to go to hell. But if you don't have that, you're not experiencing that that feeling, that closeness, that the devotion like that, in that religion, then it's very hard because you're thinking, I'm supposed to do this all my life, and then I'm hoping that maybe I'll go to heaven, like that. But here, as we are practicing it, if we engage in bhakti yoga, then as we practice it, we should be daily getting more and more realizations, and more, we're coming up. Srila Prabhupada gave the example. He gave an example of like flying in a jet plane, very high. They go about 5 miles high when they're in the commercial flights, and they're going very fast. But if you're in the jet plane, you can't realize how fast you're going. You just, even if you look out the window, it looks like you're going slow because you have nothing. There's no reference to what's going the ground below you. So he gave an example like that. So he said the same thing in Krishna consciousness. We're practicing Krishna consciousness. We're chanting, we're following the principles, we're engaged all the time in devotional service. We can't perceive how high we're flying in Krishna consciousness, and we can't perceive how we cannot perceive. Well, basically, we can't. In this analogy, we can't perceive how much spiritual advancement we're actually making. We know we're making some advancement, but we don't really know how much we're making. We're actually making. His point was that we were making a lot more. We're going a lot faster, a lot higher than what we may be actually aware of it right now. So again, it's a question of having some faith in the process, and in the practical sense, in Krishna consciousness, nothing is, you say, static. Nothing we can't. If you're practicing Krishna consciousness, if you are practicing Krishna, you can't just stay in one position and not go forward and not go backwards. If you're practicing Krishna consciousness, you're going to go forward. And as long as we can stay in the process, as long as we chant those rounds, as long as we follow the principles, as long as we keep engaged, even as a matter of duty, I keep doing whatever my service is. As long as we do that, we are definitely making more and more and more and more spiritual advancement, even if we may not realize how far we are. That was the example. You're in a jet plane, you don't know how fast you're going. You don't even know how high you're going, unless you're maybe in one of those modern ones that they show you on the back of the seat in front of you that says, okay, you're this many feet high, and you're going at this speed. But otherwise, you have no perception of that. So we'd have no perception, or little perception, of how far we are. But Srila Prabhupada says we have to have that faith. He says he gives the example of the mango. There's in a couple of months we'll have so many mangoes out here. The mango when it's first formed, it's green and hard, and after some weeks, that green mango becomes a nice ripe red and yellow mango, very very sweet. But it's still the same mango. It's just separated. Green is separated by time from the red and yellow ripe one. So it says that's our situation in practicing Krishna consciousness. We start off, we're following the process, and we're like the green mango. And then just in due course of time, by continuing to follow the process, we become a ripe, sweet mango, or in this example, we become an advanced in Krishna consciousness. Because we're on the pure devotional path. We're dedicating our life to devotional service. So we're on the path. So it will work. It is working, like that. That was Srila Prabhupada's example, like that. Okay. Time is going. So maybe we have to stop here because we all have other duties to do, but we'll continue tomorrow with the next verse. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.